Hi, everyone. Welcome to our interview series of Creative Writers Helping Creative Writers. I am your co-host, Barani, alongside my co-host, Gala Russ. And we are so excited to bring this series to you because, I'm speaking for myself, I am an award-winning science fiction and fantasy writer who also helps science fiction and fantasy writers go from idea to publication and gain confidence and skills and mastery. And now I'm also helping other creative writers who want to build their own profitable, sustainable business, serving other creatives so they can share their expertise with confidence while making a living doing what they love. So that is the impetus for this interview series, as well as an creative entrepreneurship apprenticeship program that you can learn more about in our show notes. So let me just hand it over to Gala. Tell us about who you are and why you're here.
Hi, I'm Gala Russ, and I am the co-host and co-producer of the apprenticeship program that we're going to start in September. Before that, I was and still am a book coach and self-publishing. Call myself out now. I forgot blanking out. Basically, trying to help people figure out the self-publishing path if that's what they want to do. Strategist, self-publishing strategist is the word. And before that, I still am. I started as a romance author. So I have almost 10 books out under the name Willa Drew. But you can see that there was a progression. I was doing one thing, and then I met Beth right at the time when I wanted to become a creator entrepreneur. And she was instrumental and a huge mentor. And now I'm very, very excited to be able to help other people like she helped me and share all the knowledge. And we have a guest today, Sarah. Sarah, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I am Sarah Ramsey. I am the founder of Pitch PR. We are a boutique public relations firm based in Alexandria, Virginia, that works with authors and thought leaders to help them grow their name recognition and get their voice out there.
So wonderful. And Gala, do you want to start us off with the first question?
Let me do that. I was just pulling up the questions. Here we go. The first question we had for you was, what's something you wish you'd learned earlier about starting creative business? And I guess you could share with other people so they do get to learn that earlier.
Yeah. This is such a good question because I feel like this list is long, But I think one of the biggest things is I wish I'd known what to bootstrap and what to just hire somebody to do, or even what I didn't need to worry about, like what I just didn't need to do. I do public relations. My background is strategic communication. So I've done social media, I've done marketing, I've done PR, I've done media, like all of that. And I love doing that for other people. I am doing it for myself. It's sometimes really hard. I lurk on social media all day. I hate posting for myself. I love writing newsletters. I adore writing newsletters for other people. Doing them for myself, it's just like I sit down, I'm like, okay, I can spit a newsletter out in, a few minutes for a client. And for me, I'm like, what is words? Yeah. And on the operations side, I went in for some systems that ended up not working for me. And I think, frankly, looking back, I didn't need them. I thought it would be less work to get like an all-in-one system, but it ended up being frustrating and expensive. And so I guess I wish I did a lot of homework. I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of people, but I guess on some of that, I wish I had waited and maybe tried to, just work with existing tools that I had, before I bought into like the big system, or like I said, just like hired a VA or something from the very beginning to say, okay, just do all of this work for me so that I can focus on the business.
Yeah, that's really great. Knowing when to delegate is actually one of my pinch points. Like it's where the bottleneck starts to happen in my own business. And I had to have someone literally come and sit right next to me here and ask me, so what do you do? And what do you love to do? And what are you doing that you hate? And I had to like literally hold my hand so I could figure out the delegation process for myself. And unfortunately, I cannot delegate to my cat. It would be nice. He's here. He needs. I wish he could take some of the work. So, in terms of for you, what are the kinds of clients or projects that energize you the most, and what makes them such a good fit for you?
My favorite client, I think, are the people who don't know yet what power they have in their voice. Oh, or they know it. They know that they have something to say, but they don't know how to make people pay attention. And I just get so energized to help those people get loud. I know, and I guess I should say right now, loud can have different definitions for different people. Not everybody has to be loud in the same way. But I think, we're all out here trying to build an audience. And we all have something important to say. And so I think that everybody can benefit from PR tools and practices. And one of the most important things an early client said to me was, we were talking, she's like, wait, you mean I can get media? I can do media interviews? She had small brick and mortar business, actually, down the road. Like, she plans to write a book. She's amazing. She has such important things to say. And she was like, I didn't know, I'm small. I didn't know that I could get media attention. And so being able to show her how to do that, and how she doesn't have to wait 2 years or 3 years or 5 years to become a thought leader. She's one now. And what she has to say has the power to change the world. And so I get so energized by working with those people. And I think it's even more important right now to work with, it's more important that we amplify creative and marginalized voices, and stories have the power to change the world. I think we need more authors and more books. And I think, it's really important to me to do everything I can to make that happen. So like, those are the people that I love to work with, is, helping people that need to get loud and say something.
That's so wonderful. And recognizing that media, what we think of as media, print media, magazine, I guess, television, radio, are within reach of small business owners, especially starting with your local community, right? I would imagine.
Yeah. And authors too, really. I mean, I think a lot of authors think of marketing, and as they should, right? And traditional marketing, or doing social media, doing newsletters, and all of that is so critically important. But I think a lot of, especially new authors, think that, and self-published authors, well, I'm not going through a traditional publishing house. Nobody's going to pay attention to me. I'm not a big author. I'm not a big name yet. Nobody's, I can't get media. I'm like, yeah, you can.
That's such a great mindset, because I started out in PR actually, and being a book reviewer, and also getting local media for local events. And so I've done it, but I forgot, as an author and also as a small business owner, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I know how to do this. And I'm actually not afraid to, but it is a step that you have to prepare for.
It is. And it's, I totally get that it's one more thing to do. Like, it is one more thing on a really long to-do list. And I'm a writer too. So like, I absolutely understand that. Again, it's the thing you do for your business, as a business, as a service. And then you turn around and have to do it for yourself. And it's like, again, wait, what are words? How do I write an email with the cold content? Like, how do I pitch something? So I think that's the other reason why I do what I do, is like, I know how important this work is. And I know that, a debut author may not need a full-time publicist. I get that. I'm not pitching that. It's how can I help how can I help them do the thing that will have the most impact on their work?
to me, this is a little bit about demystifying what PR is, because I think a lot of people get scared. And I think this is a good parallel with people who want to become a creative entrepreneur, right? They feel like, oh my God, I cannot be a creative entrepreneur because I don't have the certification or the PhD, or I haven't been in the business for 10 years. So you find all of these excuses of what you're not, instead of looking at what you are and the experiences that you have are things that other people haven't done, and you can help them with those things. And I think with PR is the same thing. You feel like, oh, well, I already need to be a big author or a big presence before I can get PR. But that's kind of the reverse. I do not know why in our mind that has been kind of like we were miseducated, right? You feel like only big people get PR. As a little person, you can't. So I think demystifying that process, you can also get a PR and it can help you. And I think the other thing with PR that I have found is that people focus on advertising or marketing because the results a lot of times are a little faster. Like you can I touched and I can see the ping. And with PR, it's creating this bigger, longer term thing. The person we were talking to in the first interview, Nikki, I think, he was talking about how AI is now recommending his service up front. And he's like, why? And it turns out because he has so much mentions in the media and everywhere else that it gets him as a notoriety, as like legitimacy to his business. And that's why he's popping up on top. Sorry, I still laugh.
So all of this is so good because you are so right. It's and this is actually what I tell clients is that it is, think of it as concentric circles moving out. Yes, to some extent, you need name recognition to build name recognition, but everybody has to start somewhere. I mean, nobody except for, I don't know, the 1% starts with, is born with name recognition. We all have to build our audience, but I think we all have an audience. I mean, sometimes it feels like, oh, it's my mom and my BFF, my cousins, it's my friend group that is yeah, okay. But that's your audience and they are going to hype you up. And so yes, maybe you're starting small, but you still have somewhere. And I have to tell the stories. This is a story I tell to clients to tell them why they need to do local PR, why they need to start small, because almost nobody is going to start out, getting coverage in the New York Times. That's not a bad thing. If you are a relative unknown and you get mentioned in the New York Times, it's probably not for a good reason, just frankly. But so when I worked my career before I went out on my own, I worked for NASA. I worked in the newsroom at NASA. Coolest job I'll ever have. But we would, for every space shuttle mission and space station mission, we would announce the crew. And, we would put out a press release. We would put out social media. We'd put on our website. Do you know who picked up that announcement? Not the New York Times, not the Post. They would cover a crew they would cover something if a mission went wrong. But just like, no, or maybe during a launch, but like just announcing who was on the crew, big names wouldn't cover that. But every single time, the paper, the radio stations, the TV stations that would cover that news were their hometown media out. Every single time. Their college newspapers, the town that they were in a scout troop when they were 8. Their hometown papers would always cover that news because that's the type of news hometown papers like. And so people, anybody can start there as long as you have a good story to tell. You can start there and you get that recognition. And then, yes, then you get more recognition because people are like, oh, they know how to do media. They have a good story to tell. I should talk to them too. And it just grows from there. That's my soapbox for the days.
Yeah. No, this is perfect. It's been a theme throughout. Like you need to take the first step, and the first step, it doesn't have to be a grand step. It can be a little step, but then it leads to the next step and leads to the next step. And that's how we grow. That's how we grow as a business. That's how we grow in the PR space. That's how, like in books, the same thing. You wrote one book, write the next book, whatever the next step is. Like It all makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
When I was starting out, I turned to a friend of mine who had been in business for 5, 10 years. And I'm like, what do I do? And she said, well, find the person in the local community who knows the most people and who likes to talk to a lot of people. You need to tell them about your business, and then they can tell other people. And I'm like, but who is that? And she's like, I'm not really sure. You just need to start talking to people. And I found out through trial and error that the best referrals, these were basically word of mouth referrals, were either primarily it was a web designer. I'm not a web designer, but the web designer would have all these people from all these walks of life coming to them and asking for help in all these kinds of ways. And I would be thought of because, I mean, I was a writing coach. They're like, oh, you need help with writing. Maybe Beth can help you. And so that was one of the biggest referral sources in my business. And then the other referral source was my insurance agent. They know everyone, right? Your insurance agent knows everyone in the local community. The internet wasn't a big deal in terms of, at least I didn't quite understand how to use it for marketing. This was back in 2006, almost 20 years ago. It really is about starting small and starting local and starting where you are. And I wrote in my notes here, hometown media outlets. I like that. We all have hometowns. Maybe if you've moved around a lot like I have, I'm like, well, why not? I was over here for this age and over there for that age. They should know what we're doing.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
That's so great. Gala, I think it's back to you for the third question, or is it to me? I can't remember.
I do not remember. I lost track, but I can take the last question. The last question we had for you, what I think actually segues perfectly from what we were talking about, is what has been the most consistent or surprising way you have found clients? Awesome.
Yeah. So actually, this builds perfectly, Beth, on what you were just saying, because the thing that the most surprising way that I have found clients is actually in-person networking through my local business association. I did not expect to. Okay, so I should tell how I got involved with them. Solopreneur. It's me and my computer. I don't even have a cat. I have allergies, so no cat or dog as a coworker. So I was looking for a way to just find a local community of entrepreneurs and, people who got it. And yes, maybe, support and advice. And Alexandria actually has some really great neighborhood-based business organizations. And so I found my neighborhood, the West End Business Association, and they were doing a coffee and collaboration networking event. I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. I will go. And it was amazing. Like, it was just this really engaged group of local business owners from all different types of businesses, some online, some brick and mortar, some service-based. And they have become my support network. And I was hoping for that. What I didn't expect is I've found a consistent stream of clients that way. Either people in the business association, or you were talking about, people who kind of hype you up, people who make referrals, the insurance agent who knows everybody. I have found people, we were colleagues in the association and then we became friends. Some of them have become clients, but there are some of them who are consistently my best connectors. I mean, they are so very much have you met Sarah? No joke, I have gotten clients this way when I wasn't at networking events because one of these people was. And she's like, oh, hey, I know you couldn't make it tonight, but I met so-and-so. He's an author. He writes books. And so here's his card. He's expecting a call from you. Right? I'm like, it is the best thing. And I really did not expect for what I do because, I work with authors everywhere. I work with thought leaders, all over the country, in some cases around the world. And I didn't expect to find that really consistent stream of clients, like just literally from my neighborhood, And so that's the thing I think I would encourage people to do is don't think that just because what you do is virtual networking is great too. I think that is, there's so many amazing communities out there, especially for writers. But don't discount your local business association for a support network and a way to find clients.
That's so wonderful. I mean, Gala and I met in person because I went and taught a writing workshop at the local California Writers Club there in Walnut Creek, and which is something I did all the time before the pandemic, and now it's picking back up again. I just did another one up in Napa, and it's so wonderful to meet people face to face and just be in the room. I know as a writer, being in the room just with my colleagues is just so wonderful. There's really nothing else like it. So I'm really glad, Sarah, that you underscored that, and such a great story. So wonderful. And of course, we never know if where we're gonna meet our referral partners and people who are our automatic hype person without us asking, just because there happens to be a synergy. But the only way you're gonna figure that out is if you get yourself out there and find the networks that jive with you and that really are you're simpatico with, and so that's just trial and error in my experience. There's really no other way. Sorry, guys, you can't do it from sitting at home. You got to go out. Yeah.
I agree with everything you guys said. And I think that both the virtual and an in-person and the combination, and you just kind of see what works for you better, but try everything, because until you try, you don't know. The very first, so I teach teams as well. And the team client that I got was, I still lead an online creativity workshop, and we did the artist's way, and that person went on I had a person who was part of it, and she went on a neighborhood wine walk, and then there was another person she was chatting with on that wine walk, and she's like, "Oh, I have a daughter, and she really wants to do creative writing." She's like, "Oh yeah, my friend does creative writing and book coaching," and she gave me a random thing, and I never necessarily advertise, but I think one of the things, Beth and I emphasize, it, you need to just to be comfortable telling people that you do it. It can be your mom, it can be your best friend, it can be your neighborhood association. All of the above works because they all each have a network, and you never know who they're going to go on a wine walk with, or which other networking event they're going to be part of, where those people might be your audience, and they advertise you for free because they like you.
That's right. That's right. And there's one more thing not to overlook. I actually started my business by offering a 6-week writing course in my living room, and I marketed it with flyers because I've always loved flyers. When I was a student at UC Berkeley, I would read all the flyers, and the ones I liked, I would take home and put on my wall because they're like art pieces. So I designed my own flyer with the little tabs at the bottom, and I paid a flyer service. I gave them, 100 or whatever, 200 copies. And it was a very nominal fee. At the time, it was like $150. And they went from downtown Oakland to the edge of Berkeley all the way into Albany, which is probably about 300, 400,000 people had an opportunity to see my flyers in cafes and laundromats and supermarkets. And people came to me. They said, "I have been holding on to this tab to talk to you for 3 years now." And so, that had an amazing effect. I think I only did it 2 or 3 times, and because I stopped offering classes at my home. But it was so interesting to see how people do respond to the efforts that you put out for media. And please don't discount paper media. If that's something that you like, that's your jam. So, Sarah, I just want to thank you so much for coming in and inspiring us to talk about PR for writers and authors and creative entrepreneurs. It's been so, so wonderful. So thank you so much for coming on to our interview series.
Thank you both of you for giving me the opportunity. This has been such a fun conversation.
Same. I love this. Thank you so very much.